let's take you to Mpumalanga. That's where members of the EFF have gathered just outside the Eskom Kusile Power station. They say that the power utility, or rather, they say that Eskom workers have grievances which need to be addressed by management. Our team's on the ground. Ahmed Kajee is watching this for us and joins us now live. Ahmed, what are some of those grievances?
Good morning, Ayanda. Some of the grievances over here at the Kusile Power Station involves labor practices, according to the EFF, not being followed by management. They're also saying that labor brokers followed by Eskom is something that needs to be escalated. They also say that power stations in and around the area and perhaps across the province are also being closed, which are resulting in job losses for the workers around here. In many ways, this is something that we have seen. I'm sure you would know that across the country we have seen power cuts and load shedding from the beginning of this year. And obviously, even though Eskom has said that it will be, we haven't had load shedding for quite a while now, coming through into the winter season where electricity demand will be increasing, we obviously would then assume that Eskom's power grid would be put under more pressure, and subsequently, whether there would be load shedding is something we would be seeing in the next few months. But when it comes through to whether Eskom will be functioning at 100% with workers' grievances not being addressed, we'll still be yet to see. But where I'm going to bring it to the conversation is Timothy Masilo of the EFF within the area. He's one of the coordinators around labor in the region, and he's just going to take us through some of these factors as well. So I think, Timothy, firstly, could you maybe just take us through what you are expecting through from today and what some of your grievances are?
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Timothy Masilo from the EFF Labor Desk under Ngangala region. I'm representing the entire province. I'm with the leadership here, Jackson Malaji. I'm with the leadership from Kharsibande. We've got all members of Labor Desk in the province. We want to indicate that we have chosen Kusile today as a place where workers must gather, in particular workers from Eskom, because we have got a lot of grievances against these power stations across the country, not only Kusile. And we are not recent here. We've been here since last year. Since the establishment of Labor Desk, we've always been around. So you must indicate to all workers of South Africa, whether power stations or truck drivers, any employee that are in ShopRite, any other place, any other work environment, we are saying happy Revolutionary Workers' Day. We are here to ensure that workers are well represented. The best way to represent or the best way to celebrate Workers' Day is not by virtue of going around as workers eating your own last cent in parties and celebrating. The best day to celebrate this day is to be at your work environment, demonstrate your issues that you are not satisfied with, demonstrate that indeed you are not happy. We are working as workers, but we are not happy. So we can't celebrate this day in our corridors, we can't celebrate this day in parties, we can't celebrate this day drinking or going around. We must celebrate this day at our work environment. Ensure that the employer must hear and indeed succumb to our demands as workers. It can't be that workers must only protest or demonstrate through the processes of CCMA, through the applications of strike that are unfair and they are not accommodating them. Yet we are here today to demonstrate once again to Eskom together with ERI. We are saying to all workers of ERI, we have not left you, we are still back here as EFF. We are going to represent you. We are going to ensure that before the end of next week, we are going to shut down Rochaville. It's the headquarters of ERI, Eskom Rotec Industries. We have went to Eskom Park last year during COVID when it was intense. We have also went to Megawatt to protest with workers of Rotec. We also closed more than 9 power stations in the country as EFF Labor Desk. So we want to demonstrate to you that we are going to come again next week and go to headquarters of Rochaville, which is Eskom Rotec Industries. So in this instance, we want to be honest to everyone else that we are tired, especially as EFF Labor Desk. We are not going to be told by Department of Labor, CCMA or government institutions on who must represent workers. These employers, they are arrogant because they've got some legislations and letters, regulations that are from Department of Labor on how to recognize a representative. Lawyers are representing workers. As EFF Labour Desk, according to Labour Relations Act, we represent workers on the basis that workers have chosen us to represent them. We are going to enter all places, we are going to enter all power stations to represent workers with or without the recognition letter, because we know the law, we understand the law better. The law does not prohibit us from representing workers. It also allows us to represent. Unless otherwise the employer does not want us to represent, we will then take it to labor court. We will only take it to any other court of law to ensure that we are, in the EFF we've got lawyers. Whenever employers don't want to engage us, we'll represent our employees that are subscribing under EFF through the lawyers. So I want to demonstrate today that we are here to shut down. We are not only here to meet with workers. After having resolved with workers, because there is nothing for workers without workers. Workers are going to guide us if there must be proceedings here or if there must be operations. If there is none, then we'll continue with the mandate of workers. So we are here today in Kusile to demonstrate that indeed workers are not happy. They are working because there is that minimum wage, there is whatever they are having every month, but they are not happy. So we are not celebrating Workers' Day. During Workers' Day, workers must protest. Workers must not be found working. After here, we are going to be engaging management of Eskom. We are going to be engaging management of Rotec to ensure that no one must be exploited in the name of celebrating Workers' Day. You can't celebrate when you are still oppressed. So in fact, this day, it must be a day, not only this day, but the whole month, where organizations that are claiming to represent workers, they must fight against employees. They must ensure that within this time, workers are well represented and we achieve all issues. So we're here today.
Timothy, I'm just going to interject, if you don't mind, to just find out what exactly are the grievances that the workers have and the stuff that you are fighting for. And then just, if you could add on to that, that the workers may also say that perhaps they are under a union. Could you maybe just speak to their grievances and then whether they are represented by unions as well?
Yes, thank you. In terms of issues that are commonly known around the area by the employees and the employer, these employees under ERI, Eskom Rotec Industries, they are employed through labor brokers. Remember, there is Eskom generation, then there is ERI. Now, this Eskom generation has duplicated the work to ERI, Eskom Rotec Industries. Then Eskom Rotec Industries has also duplicated the work by outsourcing labor brokers and subcontractors to come and work and or employ people under their territory. So what we are saying is that we can't have labor brokers now and then in this time. We need to have these workers working under Eskom permanent. That's the battle we're fighting. Those are the grievances that the workers have raised. We're also saying that there's a lot of money now. When for instance, there is one called Ngunu. When Ngunu leave and you have another labor broker come in, Ngunu is leaving with the service money for those workers that has worked for the past 10 years or 5 years under that labor broker. So there's a lot of unfair labor practice around this process. So we're saying Eskom must avoid outsourcing their work. They must employ people permanent. Because currently we are seated with workers that are around 300. Some of them, they were demobilized in the morning. Others were told not to leave the power station. Others are being exploited, saying you can't come and join that thing. There is another union that is called APAU. Has been mobilized by the management of Eskom. Whatever that the labor desk is doing, they are also doing it in counter to ensure that we are not representing workers accordingly. We don't want, I want to send this strong message to Eskom. We don't want a recognition letter from Eskom. All we want is that workers must be employed permanent. We'll continue to shut down and engage them on a normal basis without a recognition letter. Workers must just be treated accordingly in terms of the Labour Relations Act and Basic Condition of Employment Act. We don't want people to exploit workers.
Thanks very much, Timothy. As you know, we are running out of time and we are out of as you would know, Ayan, and as you can see, the main concern over here for the workers in Mpumalanga being represented by the economic freedom fighters is just around insourcing, and that's something that we have seen across various sectors within the public space by unions, whether it be NUM, whether it be NUM, whether it be NUM or NUMSA, and various other unions over the last that we have seen in the public space, mostly fighting for insourcing and obviously loan brokers and everything around those negotiations. And we can see that the EFF's call is for workers to go through to their workplaces and actually just speak about their grievances to the respective employers. Ayanda.
Kajee, live to us there from just outside Eskom's Kusile Power Station. Thanks very much indeed.